Hello, listeners. This is Chris Frederick from the Stretch to Win Institute, and I'm so excited today to be with Mr. André Benoit out of Calgary, or outside of Calgary in Airdrie, Alberta, Canada. And we're here because we have a specific topic we're talking about, and I'm getting lots of questions from my students about spondylolisthesis, and I can explain it, or André will talk about it. And I think that sharing the experience that André has with this problem that I thought was rare, but I see it's actually more common than I thought, and since I'm hearing from my students. So I think André sharing this experience, his personal experience with this, will greatly help others. So without further delay, welcome, André.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm going to jump right into it because I'm real excited about this. I can't wait to get this information out to others. So maybe in one sentence, just tell us about what back problems you had, the pain or whatever, dysfunction, and then what helped. We'll kind of do a quick summary, and then I'll break it down to details.
Basically, I had when I was younger, I had an acute impact on my back. It created I did not know it then, but later on I realized it created a spondylolisthesis, or however you pronounce it. French, it might be different.
That's correct.
And basically caused me a problem in the sense that after this happened, I had back pain for about 4 months. And then after that, it kind of went away. But once in a while in my youth, up until when I was 24, and when I joined the luge team, would have back problem, it'd go away, back problem, but nothing major.
Right.
And then it really flared up in 1987. Mm-hmm. I did a squat with a belt, and I bent the wrong way on the way up, and then I couldn't move. I could barely touch my knees with my hands. We ended up to the hospital. They took an X-ray, and then the doctors all got mad at me, the doctors and the head coach, because they said that I hid the fact that I had a severe spondylolisthesis. And they basically, at one point, the doctor said maybe you should think of quitting luge, and that was before my first Olympics, and there was no way I was going to quit my luge. So in a short version of all this, that's what happened. And after that, we started doing things for my back to make it better, and basically, at the end, almost didn't get rid of it, but I had a normal back life, I guess.
Yeah, which is an incredible story, because people with spondylolisthesis, especially what you had, I think it was stage 4. Did you say
it was
3?
Well, they wanted to fuse it, so I don't know.
That's pretty
bad.
It
was severe enough that the specialist, when they took the X-ray, the specialist told me that I remember sitting down in the doctor's office with the head coach on my right. And the specialist told me maybe you should think of quitting luge, because if you get hit there again, you could be paralyzed.
So getting...
and I remember saying this, I'm like, no, it ain't going to happen. After 88, they were going to fuse my vertebrae. I said, well, let's wait for this. My back is good now. We'll see. And then we had the luck to get Charles Poliquin coming in as a strength coach.
Okay.
And then
That's for the luge team?
Yeah, with the luge team. Well, actually, at the time, he had luge team, bobsleigh team, speed skating. He had a whole bunch of different teams. But he's the only guy that I also had. The one thing I didn't mention, because we talked about my spondylolisthesis, but I also had severe chronic pain in my right arm. And they also wanted to operate another specialist that I saw at the same hospital. And they're good doctors. And don't get me wrong, they're good doctors, but you can only teach what you know.
Right.
So they said, you need to get an operation in your shoulder to put everything back in place, because I was really internally rotated because of gymnastic. And I also did swimming, by the way, when I was younger. So I was totally thumb in, shoulder in, like rounded like crazy. And they said you should operate your right shoulder, because that's going to be a chronic pain you'll have for the rest of your life. So here comes Charles Poliquin. He does the first guy to do an assessment on us. So he did upper body assessment really quick. It was just movement of the arm. On the lower body assessment, we did a split squat, a CLAT test, which some people, if you graduate from PICP, you'll know what it is, but a CLAT test, you jump off a box. Depending on how your body reacts, it tells you what's going on with your body, lower body. And we did a split squat with that too. And then a squat. And the only feedback I got from Charles is, and he just swore in French, next. That's the feedback I got from the test. That's the only thing I got. But he wrote a program for us.
Okay.
And again, long story short, in 1 month, my shoulder pain was gone. And in about 6 to 8 weeks, I could be wrong in the number of weeks, but let's say 8 to 12 weeks max.
Right.
My back was 100% better.
Really?
Yeah. And after him, so before him, I could do maybe on the deadlift, 100 and some pounds, but wrong technique though. That's the thing also you have to understand. And we got tested by Charles, and we got so many like we got like the testing we did before. He did something similar out of 700 points. Before Charles, I was at 672 points out of 700.
Yeah.
After Charles, I think I was like 97 or 98 points out of 700. That's how bad we were.
So the higher the points, the worse?
No, the higher the point, the better you are.
The better you are.
In the strength testing.
Strength testing.
But Charles made us do the similar tests, but we had to have perfect technique.
Yeah.
And we did not have perfect technique. There's one guy went from 500 and something points to 12
Okay, got it.
points. That's how bad we were.
Right.
So just to tell people that you might think you lift heavy and you're good and everything, but if your technique is bad, you might be just catering your injury.
Yeah.
You're making everything worse, and which is what we did in luge before Charles.
You're doing a lot of other muscle substitution and synergistic kick-in, right? Cheating, basically.
Yeah. And if you look at our video, if I could have a video of me doing a deadlift before I met Charles and after we met Charles, it was totally like it was get your ass up, bend over, get up however you can, deadlift.
So, since you're talking about technique, can you break down the program? What do you remember about the program that helped? I guess there's overlap between the shoulder, maybe also because shoulder muscles do cross the back as well, like the lat, the latissimus dorsi. But if you can think about some of the key exercises you think were instrumental in basically curing your spondylolisthesis, right?
Yeah. So the first thing we did was tons of split squats.
Okay.
We did partial deadlifts. So we would be in a squat rack, which was absolutely mind-boggling for us. Do a partial deadlift, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we would go in a squat rack, and we would only do that range that we could do with a perfect technique.
So the partial was limited not to 50% or 25 or 75. It was more about when you started breakdown. Right before that.
Yeah, or pain. So either pain or technique breakdown. So we would do as heavy. So if the rep range was 10 to 12,
right,
we had to do as heavy as we could for 10 to 12 reps without pain, with perfect technique. And then Charles, he still is, but he was picky. Like, I remember thinking that guy's neurotic. Seriously. But the thing is, that's how we get results,
Yeah.
And so we had to do, so as we go along, he would walk around so if you would say that, I wasn't the only one doing partial deadlift, by the way, because other people were just weak and imbalances like crazy.
Yeah.
Me, again, he knew about my spondylolisthesis, and I remember telling him this and being serious about it because, they wanted to operate me and fuse everything. And Charles just kind of, yeah. Like he just, whatever, don't worry about it. Like that's basically how he felt. And then with the strength training, as my technique was getting good and my weight was getting good, we would lower the pins, so my range would increase either workout to workout or from one set to the next. He would always be there checking on us and say, okay, lower one pin down. So I would go down an inch or two per workout or per set, all the way to the way where I went down to the floor.
With your range of motion.
With my range, with perfect technique. And then I remember, so we moved forward about maybe a year after that, and I remember doing a deadlift at 398 pounds.
Wow!
Which for me was mind-boggling because I never thought I would do deadlifts again.
And your back survived it.
Oh yeah, and it was not. To be honest, like it was. I had no belt, and that's the thing, with Charles, there's no belt. You do squats with no belts, you do deadlift with no belts.
Nice.
The only time we were allowed to use a belt was maybe 2 or 3 years later, if we would do a 1 RM. And we were only allowed to wear our belt or a belt. It wasn't. I never owned a belt. A belt if we would do a 1 RM, which was really rare because most of the time we would test. We would train like 3 reps.
Mm-hmm.
So I really had a belt after that.
And may I ask, did you ever hear the word, now we're going to isolate and work on your core strengthening, so brace your abdominals or your obliques? Did you ever, this is traditional today, anytime a physical therapist hears you have spondylolisthesis, as well as in Pilates, they're going to have you do core training. Did you ever hear that word with Charles' program? Did you do any core training, isolated core training with your back program?
We did abs. We did some abs exercises.
Okay.
But it was always with weights, never high reps.
Okay.
And it would always be either a crunch on the floor with a dumbbell in our hands or a plate or whatever it was for 10 to 15 reps.
Right.
We did, we did gar hammers. So you hang on the bar and you have your torso, thighs, and legs. So your thighs are at 90, and you bring them up. You cannot go down below 90. It's 90 up all the time. So we started on an incline bench, and it would be incline gar hammers, and then we would do hanging gar hammers.
Got it.
That's it. So we did hanging gar hammers. We did weighted crunches. That's all we did. We never do any other stuff than that. But the thing is, again, Charles knew this. We didn't know this, but the number one exercise for your core is deadlift. Tons of deadlift.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing your program now, and I can vouch for the truth of that. And actually, there's other exercises too in weight training that activate your core without you specifically thinking about just making it a core exercise.
The one thing I've changed, I'll admit, maybe it's a bit like if I would have the same injury and I would have what I know today, I would do a bit more back extension with pause at the top. That's the only thing I would really change.
Did you do full range of motion? See, this is the thing. In traditional spondylolisthesis, they hate extension. They like flexion. So, because extension makes it worse. That's why you couldn't actually get up. Because when you get up, that's why actually when you could inhale, you said in your first injury you could inhale but not exhale. When you exhale, the back increases lordosis. When you inhale, it reduces lordosis.
See? Today again.
So when you exhale, it increases your spondylolisthesis. That's why you couldn't exhale.
Oh, okay. Because I know I said I'm going to blow up. I was like,
yeah.
And my mom was breathe. I'm like, and I was like, then the brain probably said, okay, he's going to faint. Maybe I should let go some.
Now, functionally, you have to get people with spondylolisthesis to start doing extension because you need it in life, right? So that's interesting you're saying this because traditionally that's where they have the problem.
No, I did that, yeah.
So you were able to, you said you would increase more back extension exercise, like full range of motion. What's the exercise you're giving me?
I would do I said the static one, so where you hold the position at the top. I'll probably start at the 45-degree angle.
Okay.
And then just put more and that's from Stuart McGill.
Like partial lowering?
Yeah,
right?
partial lowering. It's always, like, that's what I do with people that have back pain. They come and see me. You will do a back extension, whatever you can handle, it has to be pain-free range,
right?
And where you feel strong. And then I add the weight to that range. And funny enough, in my cases so far, everybody increases their range. It's slow, but they increase their range and they increase their the weight they have in their hands.
So to summarize, for someone with spondylolisthesis, if you had a client right now, what are the 3 or 4 main key exercises that you give them based on your experience, personal experience?